Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Okay, caregiver pathway naman ang ating pag-uusapan in this episode. Maraming nag-aabang dito sa sinasabing paparating na caregiver pathway. With the recent changes in immigration policies, many are, or some are wondering, ano ba, itutuloy pa ba talaga yan? Dahil, ang daming nakaabang. Okay, bago natin ipagpatuloy itong episode na ito. Guys, kakatapos ko lang i-tape yung episode na yan with Miss G. And now, I just got an update about the caregiver program. Updated na po ito Papakita ko sa inyo. Ayan, I will flash this on the screen. Sa canada.ca, mukhang meron ng pahapyaw sa kung kailan ilo-launch itong bagong mga caregiver programs for 2025. Ito guys, nakikita nyo yung merong pula. Home Care Worker Immigration Pilots coming March 31, 2025. The new Home Care Worker Immigration Pilots will open, March 31st, will provide more details shortly. Guys, at least meron na tayong update Tuloy na tuloy ito. March 31 po ang umpisa. But then, sige, itutuloy pa rin natin itong episode ko kay Miss G wala pa itong announcement na ito nung ni-record ko ito. Grabe, ang bilis ng mga pangyayari. But anyway, please watch this pa rin because at the latter part of the episode, marami pong tips si Miss G na ibibigay sa mga gusto pong mag-apply dito sa mga paparating na caregiver pathway. Okay, back to episode. Sabihin nyo na lang, kumbaga, Canada, kung matutuloy ba o hindi, And I'm sure itong ating guest, si Miss Geraldine Vallarayil, ay isa sa mga gusto na ring malaman, ma'am, from the government, kung ano na ba talaga plano dito sa caregiver pathway na bago.
Oo. Yes.
Hi, ma'am, and welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes. Thanks, Miss Ina, for again inviting me to join you dito sa episode. I think nagmumukha na akong parang expert in like for the caregiver program.
Pero FYI, since nabanggit si ma'am yan, hindi lang po siya, if you want to consult with Miss G na lang itatawag natin sa kanya. Hindi lang po caregiver pathway ang kanyang toka. All applications for IRCC, she is also very much capable of handling those. It's just that, alam ko, marami lang po kayong mga naging clients in the past, for this caregiver pathway. But anyway, ma'am, ayun na nga Okay, our previous episode, guys, baka na-miss ninyo, we talked about itong upcoming daw na mga caregiver pathways in Canada. And up to now, ma'am, wala pang balita. Kayo, any word? Meron ba kayong alam dyan na hindi alam ng general public tungkol sa timeline nito?
Oo. Napakaraming naghihintay actually, even from my end. Napakaraming aplikante na naghihintay o meron ng mga documents na naka-ready dyan. Iniintay na lang ang pagbubukas ng program. Wala pa talagang date na sinasabi ang IRCC kung kailan sila mag-a-accept ng application. So, nakalagpas na ang fall. So, winter na tayo ngayon. Sabi nila by end of last year and then early this year. We are still hoping na bubuksan ng IRCC ang pagtanggap ng mga bagong caregivers through the caregiver pilot program, which is the PR on arrival na So, ang nakikita ko doon na possible reasons ng delay is primarily doon sa need to process existing PR applications. Yung katulad nga na pag-usapan natin, napakarami na applicants from the past pilot programs na pinaprocess ngayon ng IRCC. Pero I also received some intel direct from not my client but marami sa aking pumupunta sa akin na mga naka-receive ng refusal. Yes. Narinig ko doon sa isa mong episode that I don't know where you heard about that 2025 will be the year of refusal.
Okay. You mean to say, ma'am, marami pong lumapit sa inyo na nag-apply to be PR under the previous caregiver pathways at na-refuse?
Yes.
Oh,
Oo.
after waiting for how long, ma'am?
I mean for over a year. No,
Oh.
yung iba is kahit late last year lang isinubmit ang application, so na-refuse na sila kaagad. So that's why I'm advising everyone actually na as much as possible submit a perfect applications
Oh.
talaga. So sa dami ng backlogs ng immigration, for example, if you have the visa officer and you have like 20,000 in line na ipaprocess mo, i-access ang applications, and you see na hindi kompleto ang submission, no, instead of like sending a procedural fairness letter or PFL, hindi ka na magpapadala nun. Straight away, ang ginagawa ngayon is nire-refuse ang application. That's just my observation
Yeah.
dun sa mga aplikante na pumupunta sa akin ngayon and
Oh my
humihingi ng samo advice.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-mm.
Grabe 'no. Actually, ma'am speaking of the backlogs, you mentioned 20+%. Ay, 20,000 plus pending applications. I read a report na ang, pina-process pa daw po na mga nag-a-apply na caregiver to be PR is about 30,000 applications. Eh, kung sinasabi niyo nga 'no, na uunahin muna yung mga yun, so it really might take a while before the new caregiver pilots are launched. And by the way, baka nagtatanong yung ilan, bakit inaabangan 'tong mga bagong caregiver pilots? Because as Miss G stressed earlier, it is PR on arrival, okay? Hindi
Mm-mm.
tulad ng mga nakaraan. And that is also one reason why, of course, hindi natin maiwasan, may mga masasama ang loob or nalulungkot dahil yung mga naunang caregivers, thousands of them, guys, are still waiting to be permanent residents. Ma'am,
Mm-mm.
I'm sure merong mga lumapit sa inyo saying na they've been waiting for so long because in the previous pathways, they were told that they were gonna be PR, di ba? That there
Mm-mm.
is a pathway for them to be PR. At
Mm-mm.
ngayon, sobrang delay. Hindi ko alam, baka mawawala na ng status yung ilan o talagang nawala na ng status yung ilan waiting for it. What advice do you give them, ma'am? Those who are really
Yeah.
frustrated with the backlogs.
Okay, so number one, watch the validity of their status. No, nagbukas kasi yung old program. So it was like when they entered Canada, it was through the work permit, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
after completing a certain number of months of experience here in Canada, then pwede silang mag-apply na ng PR by submitting the proof na nagkaroon na talaga sila o nakaipon na sila ng enough work experience, to be specific, 12 months of work experience dito sa Canada to apply for PR. Actually, hindi na-apply for PR yun no? Kasi pagpasok pa lang nila dito, kasabay ng work permit nila, nakapag-submit na rin sila ng PR application.
Okay.
Ang kulang na lang is yung proof that they completed yung certain numbers of months na kailangan nila na para idagdag na ma-push talaga to fully process yung PR application nila.
I
Ano?
see.
So,
Okay.
oo, it is very important to watch ang validity ng kanilang permits. For example, tawag kasi nila stage 1. Then kung nasa stage 2 na, nag-submit na kayo ng application nyo for yung proving, yung naka-complete na kayo ng number of months of experience para ma-complete yung PR application, automatically makaka-receive kayo niyan nung support letter para makapag-apply kayo ng Bridging Open Work Permit or BOWP. No? So that means to say, kung patapos na yung permit nyo, yung work permit nyo, so you can use that support letter para mag-apply ng Bridging Open Work Permit. So makakasama na rin doon yung family ng caregiver.
Oh.
Yeah. So that is number one. So once you receive that, so syempre medyo safe na kayo doon. Nasa safe spot na kayo to be in a legal status. So marami rin kasi, alam ko kasi nakakarinig din ako ng mga stories na pagdating ng caregiver dito sa Canada, nirelease sila ng employer.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if you about that. So means to say, mawawala yung eligibility nila or ability nila na mag-ipon ng work experience sa Canada to support yung PR application. So di ba sabi nga ni IRCC before, they needed 12 months of work experience, and then in between, last year ginawa nilang 6 months na lang. Ano? Oo. So it's very important i-watch nila ilang oras na ba, or naging equivalency na ba noon is 6 months work experience, na sana nag-apply sila noon under the direct PR or gaining experience category. So doon naman na currently na nasa position sila na hindi pa sila makaka-apply for PR, no, what I can say is stay informed, no. Lagi silang manood or watch nila yung mga bagong balita from IRCC. Manood sila ng In a Nutshell.
Ay, naku, thank you.
Kasi alam ko lagi kang updated din sa nangyayari sa immigration. And of course, yung mga reliable immigration consultants, they're also very good in, meron silang mga podcast na ganito, or kahit sa mga social medias nila nagpapalabas sila, or even our company GHV Immigration Services and GHV Global, now we always make sure na up to date every day yan nag-aabang na kami ng any balita from IRCC. So be in the know ano na nangyayari sa paligid. No? And yun nga, kung hindi pa kayo nakakapag-apply for PR or hindi pa kayo nakaka-gain ng enough Canadian work experience as a caregiver to support the PR, so abangan nyo at pinapanalangin talaga natin na ibukas na talaga yung new caregiver program. No?
Yeah, but those who are already here, will they still be able to apply for the incoming pilot programs if they came in through the old ones?
So ang ano dun nga is kailangan nilang tawag mo dito, mag-apply na for the stage 2. No?
Okay.
Oo. So once nakaipon na sila ng certain number of work experience dito sa Canada, no, i-submit na nila ang proof na meet na talaga nila yung certain number of months para i-push yung PR application nila. And yung nga sabi ko kanina, yung istorya na maraming nare-refuse, no? Masakit yun. Of course, lalo na yung may mga pamilya na kasama dito. So it's very important talaga na to submit a quality submission. No? And I always say then na if you feel like ang visa officer is at fault sa application, nakikita ko rin yan malimit kasi sineshare din sa akin yung tawag dito, refusal letters, and they are sending me, the applicant is sending me the documents na sinabit nila, and I was like, oo nga. Ano kaya talaga reason ng officer bakit ni-refuse ang application? So I always say, apply na kaagad kayo nung tinatawag na GCMS notes.
Okay.
No? Or ATIP. It's not 100% guaranteed, but most of the time, no, makikita nyo doon ano ba yung reasoning ng visa officer, exact reasoning bakit nila or niya ni-refuse ang application. No? Pag kasi naka-receive ng refusal letter, di ba, very generic yung reason na ibibigay ng visa officer. So the GCMS can help you, no, if you're planning to reapply. No, pwede kayong mag-reapply as long as hindi misrepresentation ang ground na ibinigay sa inyo ng officer. Yung misrepresentation means you probably must have submitted some false documents or you declared some false information na nahuli or nakita ng visa officer. So that's a different topic. No, but if not, apply kayo ng GCMS, and at the same time also, I also suggest mag-apply kayo ng reconsideration. No? Kung nakikita niyo talaga na at fault yung visa officer dun sa judgment na binigay sa application niyo. But we...
Have you had a client, ma'am, perhaps na overturn yung initial refusal, and baka you can share with us paano ginawa yun? Yun ba GMA, ano yung notes, and then you help them? Yeah. Can you share with us maybe an experience you might have?
Okay, like in my own practice, no, maraming lumalapit sa akin na especially mga nagdi-DIY. No? And then lumalapit sa akin once they receive a refusal. No? So number one, sabihin ko sa kanila yan, okay, apply kayo ng GCMS notes. Just to make sure na masagot natin kung ano yung refusal ground na binigay sa inyo ng visa officer. No, nakanote doon, specific, bakit niya ni-refuse yung application. So that can be, okay, one example that I would say, merong isang aplikante for PR. Medyo masakit tong istoryang to kasi anyway, that was out of the caregiver program. So nag-apply siya ng, nabunit siya for a nomination, provincial nomination. Okay. Then after that, of course, sinabit niya, nag-DIY, sinabit ang application for PR sa IRCC and na-refuse ang application. No, for the reason of yung NBI na sinabit niya is, kasi dumating siya, for example, dumating siya ng July, and then September, natawagan siya kaagad. Imagine, in a matter of like 3 months. It doesn't happen nowadays na ganun kabilis. Yung NBI na ginamit niya sa pag-a-apply niya for a work permit, yun din ang ginamit niya for applying for PR. Kasi sabi niya, ma'am, nasa validity pa kasi, valid pa kasi yung yung NBI. So, ang reason ng officer is hindi na-cover ng buong NBI yung date na nasa labas siya ng Canada. Oo. Like for example, kung pumasok siya ng July 30 sa Canada, ang NBI niya was not valid or issued ng I would say not valid or issued ng July 25. There was like a few days na hindi na nahagip nung NBI.
Okay.
So that was a lesson learned. No, and I would say that was good for me also. That was a good information because that was the first time na naka-receive ako ng ganung refusal.
So she just had to get a new one, a more recent one. NBI.
Hindi na siya nagre-apply pa or nag-ask ng reconsideration. Lumapit siya sa akin after 1 year. So hindi na siya makaka-apply ng reconsideration.
Oh no. Okay. Ano na nangyari kaya sa kanya? Na-curious naman tuloy ako. After
kaya lumapit siya sa akin ngayon. Sabi niya, Ma'am, with all these things happening sa immigration, mga new rules, so we have to start all over again. Create an express entry profile, check the possibility of entering provincial nominee programs. No, ako na yung fully mag-handle and magmo-monitor ng application niya kasi sabi niya ayaw niya nang magkamali pa ulit.
Oo. Yun na nga, Ay, naku. Actually, I'm not sure. I think I have the information here tungkol dun sa refusal rates, ha. Wait nga lang. Kasi nga nasabi mo, ma'am, so may lumalapit sa'yo na re-refuse and you were pointing out na sa dami kasi ng applications ngayon, guys, the smallest mistake, kahit in the past siguro mapagbibigyan ng officer na nag-review ng application ninyo, sa dami nga ngayon, parang practically deny na to. Kasi parang ganun ang nangyayari, no? You think, ma'am, ganun nga? Oo.
Yes. Oo. So, wala na sila, ano tawag mo doon? Wala na silang pasensya, no, for even a very small mistake. It makes sense naman, no? Instead of sending a procedural fairness letter, hindi naman kasi mandatory, hindi naman kasi nakalagay sa regulations na okay, if I'm the visa officer, wala akong maintindihan sa application, I'm gonna send a procedural fairness letter. It's not mandatory for them. So, like what I've said earlier, kung napakarami nilang application na i-process, they don't have much time. So they're expecting a perfect or nearly perfect submission talaga. That can help them for
I think that's one of the reasons why ang data is may dumadami nga ang rate of refusals, and I have this, so babalikan ko to, ito nahanap ko na. If you guys see yung upper right, okay? Ang title nito, hindi ko ma-highlight eh. Investigating potential misrepresentation by clients applying for, ano na lang to kunyari, temporary resident visa. Okay. There is a 600% increase, okay, from in September 2024 from the year prior. So it just shows how, I guess, ang ibig sabihin nito, isa ay mas metikulosa talaga ngayon ang mga immigration officer, no? They're looking out for, in this case, potential misrepresentation. So talagang, naku, bawal kayo mag-imbento ng kung ano-ano dyan, guys, lalo na sa mga experience, yung mga ganon. Naku.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now, let's go back to the caregiver issue, ma'am. Totoo po ba, previous caregivers who came in the previous pilots, rather, have been waiting for as long as 6 years? May ganun ako nabasang report. Actually, I saw it in this report. I will show you also. Ano ba to? Ayan. Teka muna. This is from CBC News, delays in migrant caregiver residency program could leave some in limbo. In this article, sabi, waiting for as long as 70 months, about 5 years or 6 years yata.
Oo. Yung last program for the caregiver, nag-start actually yan in 2019. Oo. So, I believe,
baka yung mga nauna pa to, ma'am. I think there were prior pilots pa. Grabe naman yung backlog kung ganun, no? Ano ba yun?
So, yun yung sinasabi ko na make sure na once they ipon na, nakapag-ipon na sila ng enough work experience that will make them eligible to apply for PR, apply na kaagad. Huwag nang maghintay pa. Like what I've said since 2019, napakatagal na panahon yan. Now, for them not to apply for PR, knowing na there are ways naman, specific pathway or ways for those caregivers to apply for PR. I cannot judge din naman, minsan kasi talaga, we could say probably walang nag-guide sa kanila on what they have to do. Yun nga, sabi mo anong maia-advise ko sa mga yun.
Lalo so, na didiretsuhin na kita, ha? Yung mawawala na ng status sa kahihintay o baka nga actually out of status na sila. What advice would you give them?
Oo. So definitely, they're inside Canada. So maghanap sila ng, they can actually look for employers who can apply or support yung LMIA to apply for their work permit. No? So para ma-extend yung stay nila with legal status here in Canada. I know there is another like a challenge or war or laban sa pag-apply ng LMIA. But I do believe na it's still doable. No, they really have to make it like a job. Sabi ko nga, finding a job in Canada is a job itself.
Yeah.
Connect with people. Kanina rin may tumawag sa akin. Sorry, lagi kong kinoconnect dun sa mga real life experience ko. Meron talagang pumupunta dito sa Canada na wala silang kamag-anak, walang kaibigan. Hindi nga nila alam saan ba sila bibili ng grocery or paano ang pagbubukas ng SIN, ng number, social insurance number, yung mga ganong basic sa paningin natin. Pero for someone who is new in Canada, walang connection at all, napakahirap sa kanila. So I would advise to them, connect, bawal lang mahiyain sa Canada. So I would say wag pairalin din yung ego. We are here to help. Like for example, in our office, our line is open. No, we do accept calls if it's just like, let us say, 5-10 minutes para lang i-address yung issue nila. We do accept that, and you don't need to book for an appointment for a
Libre
one-on-one.
yun, walang fee. That's
If it's
free.
just like 5 to 15 minutes, that should be fine.
Okay.
Oo. Pero pag mas mahaba na doon, oo, meron na tayong consultation fee.
Oo, pero malaking bagay na yun, Mama. 5, 10, 15 minutes. Marami ka ng enlightening advice na pwedeng maibigay doon. Ay, nako. Okay, ma'am. For those naman, yun yung mga para sa mga nandito na guys, ha, na namumroblema, na mga dumating dito as caregivers. Those who are waiting for the new pilot programs, sabihin nila, ma'am, wala pa nga balita, hindi na muna ako magpe-prepare. Tsaka na yun, pag na-announce na, then I will prepare. Can you again, I know you mentioned this in the previous episode we had, tell them why it shouldn't be that way. Dahil, gaano kabilis maubos ang slots for that?
Oo. We can expect a very small quota pag binuksan ng immigration or ng IRCC ang program na to. So remember, nagbigay na ng pakapyaw na eligibility ang IRCC. So ano yun? Kailangan makakuha sila or mag-take sila ng language test reports. Is either I said I'm not affiliated with IELTS or CELPIP, but I do recommend those two. So kailangan makascore sila ng a minimum of 4 for all those skills: reading, speaking, writing, and listening. 4. So the second one is the education credential assessment. Na kailangan yung assessment ng education nyo must be comparable to Canadian high school. And then, of course, you need to receive a job offer from a Canadian employer. And then, i-ready nyo na rin yung mga documents nyo proving your relevant and related work experience as a caregiver. So it's very important. Sabi ko nga, not 100%. If you are 101% or more sure na interesado kayong mag-apply for the upcoming caregiver pathway, which is we don't know kailan pa nila bubuksan, no? Apply na kayo at least nung mag-IELTS na kayo and mag-ECA or Education Credential Assessment. Education Credential Assessment, it takes many weeks, no? Sometimes 3 to 6 months to get yung education. Yes, matagal. Matagal. Oo. So, imagine kung maghihintay pa kayo magbukas noon. So, may quota. Hindi kayo mapapapasok doon sa quota na ibibigay ng possible na ibigay ng immigration. So, at least i-ready nyo na yung mga documents na you feel like matagal bago nyo makuha. No? Ang language test report, ang validity niyan is 2 years.
Okay.
No? And then the education credential assessment with 5 years validity.
Okay.
So it makes sense. Pwede na mag-apply ng mga yun.
What proof can they document can they prepare doon sa requirement po na relevant and related employment?
So number 1 dyan is yung certificate of employment or employment letter. No? So katulad ng binanggit ko dati, sa Pilipinas hindi naman uso yung mga daycares or yung mga facilities, yung mga home for the aged kung tawagin sa atin, di ba? Hindi ko alam kung marami pa tayo noon, Miss Ina.
Ako, just a few. Yeah, hindi po masyado. Hindi kasing ramen dito sa Canada, definitely.
Dito kasi normal na yung mga ganon. Kaya nga sila nangangailangan ng mga caregivers. So, typically, mag-aalaga lang yan ng sa yung kapitbahay natin.
Paano yung ganun, ma'am? Inalagaan ko yung pamangkin ko. Mula bata hanggang pag-teenager. Anong kukunin kong dokumento dun?
Oo. So, sabi ko nga, humingi sila ng letter, no, proving na talagang nag-work sila. So, ilagay nila doon, ano ba yung inclusive dates na nag-work kayo para doon sa employer na yon or yung kapitbahay nyo. Ilagay nyo rin, no, at least in 5 to 10 bullets, yung job responsibilities, unang nagwo-work kayo para dun sa employer na yon. And then, ipa-affidavit nyo, yung ipa-lawyer ba tawag sa atin sa
Pa-notarize din.
Pa-notarize, oo. Because that simple letter can transform or will transform into a legal document. So, may bigat yung dokumento na yon pag pinanotaryo nyo. No? And you can also ask for, you can use your barangay, the barangay captain, no, na proving din, mag-issue rin ng letter, no, proving na talagang nag-work kayo for that particular person. I've done that. No, gamit na gamit ko yung mga barangay captains sa mga aplikante.
Okay, yeah.
Oo. So I know it's possible to get letters from them. And of course, kung nagbabayad kayo ng income tax sa Pilipinas, so yun din, yung assessment, income tax assessment or ITR ba tawag sa atin doon, no? Pwede niyo rin isama yun. Oo, pwede niyo rin isama yun as a additional document proving your work experience. Also, pictures, photos can help as well. So sabi ko nga, no, like me, sabi ko nga hindi ako nabili ng book pag walang masyadong visual, walang mga photos. No, inaantok ako if I read that type of book. So what I'm doing pag nagsasubmit is nahingi ako yan at least like 3 to 4 or 5 best photographs. Pakuha kayo ng picture with the dun sa inalagaan nyo. Ano, gawin lang nating medyo visual yung application. Miss Ina, that's just my own way.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying I mean mandatory na gawin yun, but that is my way to yung sa submission ko. I'm more visual sa submission and documents, and it works. It works a lot most of the time.
Yeah, and I guess at this time when you mentioned gan, ma'am, no, kailangan ang application mo is perfect.
Yes.
Dahil guys, nagbabawas ng slots for all pathways. So I assume also caregiver pathway, we won't be surprised if let's say yung previous allocations, ibig sabihin yung bilang ng mga taong tatanggapin dyan, baka kalahatiin din, ano? Ilan po ba before, ma'am? And ikaw ba, do you have a guess kung how many slots will be allocated this time?
Oo, ang best, ang wild guess ko dyan, the same as last year, 5,500, no? Oo. I'm really hoping na at least bigyan ng ganong karaming spot in accepting application.
O sana nga, no, kung ma-maintain man lang. And guys, yung 5,000 plus na sinasabi ni ma'am, hindi lang po sa mga Pilipino yun, imagine niyo, okay? Sa buong mundo yun, sa lahat ng gusto mag-apply. So you can imagine how tight it could be. But again, for now, we are still waiting for it. Sana nga matuloy pa, no? Kasi ma'am, I'm curious, konti lang po ba talaga ang mga Canadians who are willing to become caregivers here? Work in, you know, home for the aged, retirement homes, mga ganun.
Let me use again my life experience here in Canada. No, so sabi ko nga, bago ako naging full-time immigration consultant, I was a recruiter. No, and I've really seen na pag nag-post ka ng job, mga 95% or over 95% ng resume na mare-receive mo talaga dyan is yung more of mga immigrants. So sabi nga, di ba, marami raw nga kasi ayaw tanggapin yung trabaho. Like for example, being a caregiver, masyadong mabigat na trabaho yan para sa mga Canadians, we could say. I don't want to say Canadians, but oo, pero yun talaga yung we could say close to reality, you know. I would say yes. Oo, that's why they are resulting into finding or hiring caregivers from outside Canada talaga. Lalo na mga Pilipino, no, medyo gustong-gusto tayo ng ng mga Canadians.
Correct. We are we are very good caregivers. Sa totoo lang, caregivers. Maalaga po
Caregivers
talaga by
talaga with
nature.
heart. Yes,
Yeah.
by nature talaga. Mm-mm.
Yeah, ay nako. Ay sana nga no, because again no, I have to be sabi ko kay ma'am, I've been reading some reports na yung iba kasi medyo hindi na kasing positive na dadating pa itong bagong caregiver pilots. Una sa lahat, nagbabawas na nga ng mga immigrants generally. Pangalawa, ang pina-point out pa, if they are completing mga processing existing applications before they head on to the new applications, ang backlog, again, more than 30,000 applications. Ang pina-point out ng ilan, ma'am, yung allocation for the incoming, covered na nga daw yun dun sa mga pending applicants pa lang. Does that make sense to you? Anong palagay mo dun, ma'am?
Oo. We just like kung magde-depend talaga tayo dun sa number, parang oo nga no.
Sobra na yung nandito.
Oo, but we never know how they allocate numbers
Yeah.
Oo, and let's see. I'm very hopeful until sabihin ng immigration na sorry, hindi na natin palalabasin muna itong bagong caregiver pilot. But they are not saying anything or any indication. No, dun nga sa article na sinend mo sa akin or senior mo sa akin. So there was parang they tried to get the attention of Minister Miller or ng IRCC, and then sabi nga nila, di ba, they will release something about that, like a positive, it sounds like a positive note about the caregiver program. So wala pa rin tayong feel or naririnig na hindi i-release. Let's see.
Yeah. Sana nga. And for those saying na saan ba natin napulot kasi itong information na to, guys, okay? Ito po ang immigration levels plan na pinresent late last year for the years 2025 to 2027. Okay? And I will look for the caregiver keyword. Pasok pa rin Ito siya yung caregivers. Meron pa rin talagang i-allocate for 2020. Hold on. Ayan, 2025, 2026, 2027. So again, hintay-hintay na lang po tayo. We'll see. And sana this is still going to be open and sana matuloy pa rin talaga. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Ang information po ni Ms. G will be put down there sa description box. Again, sabi niya kailangan ng perfect application sa mga panahon ngayon. Okay? Kung ayaw niyo maghintay na naman kung mag-a-appeal kayo, bagong waiting time na naman yun. If you want to consider some help or assistance, you are free to call Ms. G's office. Meron siyang office in Edmonton and also in the Philippines. Saan banda sa Philippines, ma'am, nga ba?
Sa Imus, Cavite.
Ayan, sa Imus, Cavite. Okay. Sige, I'll put up her information. Thank you so much, ma'am, as always. Maraming salamat po.
Yeah, and thank you, Dian. Thank you.
Yeah, and sana, pag may update, we will talk to you again about this topic.
Yes. Oo. Okay. Siguro ngayon, mas magiging mas magiging active na ako ngayon sa social media.
Oo, and hopefully in this channel too, not just about caregivers, okay? We can talk to Ms. G about other immigration pathways also. Okay, so guys, we will end this episode here. If you have other questions for Ms. G, caregiver o hindi, kahit ano pa yan, just put them down there in the comment section as well, okay? And then, ipaparating natin kay Ms. G and maybe in a different episode, she can answer some of those concerns. Okay, so I'll end this episode here, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Thank you, Ms. G.